Just because you're in the great outdoors doesn't mean you can't cook something tasty over the campfire that is a little more sophisticated than a hot dog and a few ears of corn. Outdoor cooking may be a whole other activity in and of itself. In this video, we'll be sharing 6 rules with you to make your campfire cooking a breeze, so stay tuned for some pro advice. First up, choose a suitable site. You can't just go anywhere and start a fire. If possible, try to place the foundation of your fire on bare mineral soil. But if this is not possible, building it on a rock would be excellent. Sometimes campgrounds have built-in fire pits, in which case you should always use them to prevent the environment from being damaged by other fire pits. Aim to keep your fire out of the wind, since any moderate to strong breeze might be dangerous. Sparks run the risk of starting a forest fire if they escape. Additionally, coals will burn out much more quickly and give off far less cooking time. Aim to stick to the rule that says you should not build an outside fire if there is any wind that evening and there isn't a significant wind shelter available. As much space as possible ought to be available above the fire, ideally 3 times the height of the flames, to avoid sparks hitting any tree roots or low-hanging branches. Next, let your meals be planned. A delicious meal can be yours with the added benefit of a little wood smoke flavoring, all with just a little preparation and planning. We firmly believe that the less chopping and mixing that needs to be done on site, the better, as this necessitates hauling out less equipment and reduces the risk of cross-contamination or foodborne illness. Soups and stews are a breeze to prepare in advance and cook on site. Simply remember to keep food cold until it is cooked. We highly recommend aluminum foil, a ubiquitous home item. Here's some simple advice. Aluminum foil is amazingly suitable to prepare excellent food in. Grab the sausages for the hot dogs and slice them into half-inch pieces. Then put them in a bowl. Toss a few diced peppers, onions, and crushed feta, as well as some olive oil. Add salt, pepper, thyme, or rosemary, or both. Roll them in aluminum foil and cook them right in the flames. It's like a feast and really easy to make. Your campfire's high heat may be just what's needed to produce tasty and surprising results. Fotheringham suggests attempting grilled pizza and even bread, both of which can be prepared similarly using only a cast iron pan. But there's an addition to this rule. Believe us when we tell you that there are certain things you should avoid cooking, because we know what we're talking about. No lid. Steak and bacon, among other foods that produce hot, drippy fat when they cook and might result in hazardous flare-ups, should be avoided. Try to avoid eating anything that requires frying or oil of any kind. Provided that it will be prepared in a pan, you might assume that it is safe, but this isn't always the case. If you feel the need to prepare such a dish, consider utilizing a Dutch oven because it provides more consistent heat and additional spatter protection. Next, gear up. While it may seem obvious to some, you should be using metal utensils since plastic can melt. Get an aluminum pot lifter rather than pots and pans with rubberized handles. To avoid any confusion or accidents, it is advisable to use utensils that are made exclusively for outdoor use. However, the term proper gear doesn't just apply to kitchen equipment. It also includes your clothing. Wear long sleeves and trousers in case there are stray embers or coals, as well as strong closed-toed shoes that can withstand the heat from being in close proximity to the campfire. Additionally, we advise purchasing a set of sturdy gloves, since after all, why take a chance? Next, you will need some campfire utensils to keep your meal on the right path and your hands safe once you have your basic equipment. Here's the ones that we love the most. Folding barbecue tool with 3 functions. Bringing more gear than necessary is the last thing that campers want to do. A 3-in-1 folding grill tool saves space while offering all the necessary equipment, including a spatula, fork, and knife in a single, straightforward folding component. Steel tongs. Every cook at a campground needs a nice set of stainless steel tongs to help them grasp food when turning or removing it from the grill and to keep their hands from getting scorched. Whether you choose 9-inch or 16-inch tongs, it will depend on your setup and how comfortable they seem to you. Tongs come in different lengths. Last, to stir soups, stews, or oatmeal, you'll need a long-handled spoon. There are several sturdy options available. To stir your food, you can use a wooden, stainless steel, or aluminum spoon. Next, know how to handle the heat. There is no set oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and set a timer for 30 minutes when cooking over a campfire. Instead, this basic method of cooking necessitates sensing and managing heat. No biggie really, just hear us out. This can be accomplished by starting 2 fires, one for cooking and the other to provide coals. As the owner of GreenMoxie.com and the author of numerous cookbooks on campfire cooking, Nikki Fotheringham advises that your cooking fire ought to be a channel of the main fire. You should transfer coals from the fire pit to your cooking fire. This allows you to regulate the temperature, and it also ensures that you won't get caught with a dead fire and a partially cooked meal. We've all been there. Ashes are a great way to reduce the heat of the embers without completely putting out the fire, according to another expert recommendation. In order to lessen the intensity of the embers, Nico Stanitzok, a chef, food blogger, and co-author of the Campfire Cookbook, recommends covering them with a shovel of ashes. We do advise keeping your hand 4 inches away from the coals until it becomes uncomfortably hot to test the heat level. When it starts to feel this way, you can tell how hot it is and consequently what would be ideal to cook. You can cook steak on this fire flawlessly if your hand feels too hot at the 2 to 3 second mark. It's medium hot if it takes 5 to 7 seconds. And at this temperature, breads, puddings, and fried vegetables are all done. Next is, don't rush. Just because you start to see some flames does not necessarily mean that your bonfire is ready for cooking. A good fire is basically made of hot coals and a few burning logs of wood, and it can take 30 to 45 minutes to burn down to the ideal temperature, depending on the fire and the weather. Give your fire the time it needs to get this because roasting is best done over a bed of blazing embers. But as many novices make the error of trying to construct a tremendously enormous fire, this patience also applies to the size of your fire. The problem is that when large fires go out rapidly, you're left with hot coals and no direct flame. If you run out of wood, your fire can go out in the middle of cooking because you won't be able to replenish it. We encourage you to start with a modest starter fire made of kindling and smaller logs, and to only add a few larger pieces of wood as necessary. This guarantees a pleasant, heated coal bed and enough direct heating for cooking. This also means that there will be enough wood to keep the fire going all night. Up next, stay safe. The existence of an open fire or stove is one of the biggest dangers experienced when cooking while camping. Of course, you should always abide by the laws and ordinances in force in the area where you're camping, especially those pertaining to fire safety. There are many authorized fire pits in campgrounds. Before cooking, make sure you are aware of the campground's fire regulations. Be careful to build your fire at least 15 feet away from any tents, plants, cars, combustible materials, or overhanging branches if there are no approved fire pits and you don't have a stove. Build your fire on a rock surface if at all possible. In the absence of rock, look for bare mineral soil. For great campfire food, it's important to keep your kitchen safe and sanitary. In addition to fire safety, also be mindful of unsanitary food preparation settings and procedures. This won't just ruin your food for you, but can also be a health hazard. Moving on, extra care must be taken if sharp objects are used in cooking. The standards of knife safety in the backcountry are similar to those in your domestic kitchen, but extra caution should be taken because it typically takes much longer to get to expert medical treatment in the wilderness. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think there's something we missed? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.